Hi guys, it's Danny. Alrighty, so it's time to see what orchids we had in bloom for the month of November. Now today is the 1st of December and you might not know this, but it's the national day of my country, so please let me say a few words in my own language to my Romanian viewers, and I know they are a few. La mulți ani, dragii mei, vă mulțumesc foarte mult că îmi urmăriți videoclipurile, sper să vă bucurați de orhidee oriunde v-ați afla și să fiți voioși și sănătoși și să ne auzim cu bine și în continuare. Alrighty, let's get back to our videos. So the first orchid we had in bloom this month was the beautiful Cattleya Hawaiian Splash Leia. This is such a beautiful, prolific bloomer for me. It blooms even multiple times a year, but I did discover that this particular orchid is different from other Cattleya orchids in the sense that it has much better blooms when it's quite cool. In the summertime, it really does not have these beautiful yellow splashes. It's kind of more purple. But if the temperatures are cooler, they induce this beautiful splash and coloration on the blooms, and I love it. Now this orchid, a few days after it blooms, it looks something like this. The colors are really striking. As it gets older, actually, it becomes a little bit more faded, but the blooms do last for about 2 to 3 weeks. They're not big, they're kind of tiny, but it is just such a prolific bloomer, pretty tiny little Cattleya orchid that I think it's really worth having. Bad thing about it is that it's not fragrant, but these colors, they really do compensate. Another orchid we had in bloom this month was the Wilsonara or Oncidium Franz Wickman. Yeah, I think this is it. I did create an identification page on orchidnature.com, so feel free to click the annotations on the top of your screen at any time to view the presentation videos or pages on Orchid Nature to learn more. So this orchid is really beautiful. It's really close to my heart. It's just so subtle. I really like subtle beauty. And actually, this is not a fragrant orchid, but if you stick your nose into the flower, you'll discover a sweet kind of candy-like fragrance. It's very faint, so I wouldn't really classify it as fragrant because if it's kind of cloudy, it's not gonna smell. If the sun hits the blooms, it will start to smell. But it's really pretty, and I think it's worth having because it's just so subtle. It doesn't really scream at you, it just whispers, and you really just love it when you see it. Third orchid we have in bloom, lo and behold, the Nelly Eiler, which is one of my favorite orchids, but she is just so fussy, absolutely hates summertime for me, and you can see she's not a happy puppy. I don't know what I'm gonna do with her next year. I might try to make sort of a cool section in the greenhouse. I don't know. This orchid really enjoys high humidity and cool temperatures, and when you get cool temperatures you get this really nice red flower. This orchid is also nicely fragrant, although some people don't like it. It's a sort of a lemon scent, but lemon fruit actually, and it's a little bit artificial, slightly chemical, so I can see why some people don't like it. I personally like it, and I know other people who really like the fragrance. It's a sort of a love and hate with this one, and I'm so sorry this is so picky, but really if you have a cooler climate, more humid climate, maybe if you live in Ireland or UK, maybe this one will do beautifully for you, because I do know people who have no trouble with this orchid. If you have, however, a dry, hot summer, this will be really picky for you. And yeah, that's it. Mine only made one single flower from this tiny pseudo here. Again, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do with her. She really hates my summertime, but I love it so much that I think I'm gonna create a microclimate for her. Another orchid we have in bloom this month is the beautiful Colmenara Wildcat Bobcat. This is such a prolific bloomer. Once again, it's that type of hybrid which is pretty indestructible. If you're just starting out with Oncidium orchids, I do recommend the Wildcats. They just bloom, they just grow, they're not very fussy, typical Oncidium care, and they're just very resilient. I think this is the case with most Wildcat hybrids. You can also find some yellowish varieties. There is a bit of variation in the Wildcat family, let's call it like that. This particular one I do love because it is really red. It's actually a dark red, maroon, burgundy perhaps color. I'm not sure how it looks like on camera, but I really do like this one because it's just so easy to care for. It's not fragrant, that's its only defect, but I do think it's an easy grower, very suitable for Oncidium beginners, and yeah, she's just so pretty. I just love red orchids. Ta-da! The queen of my orchid collection, lo and behold, the beautiful Brassavola Little Stars. Now, this is such a big baby that created 10 flower spikes for me, and right now there's only one left with buds. All of them are in bloom, and I have to say the fragrance is beautiful. I didn't get to post an ID for her just yet, but I will these days. I can tell you that, of course, it smells beautiful in the nighttime, but the Cuculata species of Brassavola has a more intense fragrance than this one. This tends to be not so powerful actually, so if you have some issues with strong fragrances, maybe this particular cross will be better for you. Last year, one flower of the Cuculata actually filled all my balcony. This one kind of reaches that intensity, but it has, I don't know, 40 flowers or something. So yeah, it's really not that intense, and also the smell is subtler, more powdery. It's still beautiful, don't get me wrong, but it's just not as fragrant. I am happy with it really, because just look at it. It's just such a nice spectacle. And this one I really don't want to divide because I want to have this display every year if I can. So yeah, this is the jewel and the queen of my orchid collection, the Brassavola Little Stars. And here is the Cycnodes Wine Delight with its second blooms now. The flowers are kind of fading, but I did get to film it earlier this month. The flowers really don't last way too much on these orchids. They last for about 2 to 3 weeks, and then they kind of start to go away. I raved so much about the Cycnodes Wine Delight, and I'm happy to see that some of you guys got it, and I really hope you like the fragrance. It's that sort of a love or hate fragrance. I, for one, really love it. So this guy actually bloomed twice this year. First it had a flower spike in September, and now in November it produced 2 flower spikes. I kept watering it because it kept asking me for water to sustain these flowers, but now he is really losing leaves, and also the flower spikes are going away, so he's slowly starting to go dormant. And when the flower spikes are all done, I'm gonna start to gradually decrease water and just let him tell me when he needs water. Just look at the older pseudobulbs. When they get really shriveled, I'll give it a little water, but soon enough they will not get so shriveled. And for me, that's the cue that I need to stop watering, at least stop watering frequent. And here is the beautiful Tahitian Dancer. Now this orchid was kind of sick for me. It didn't do well in the old media I planted it, so really the flowering is not really all that great this year. This orchid has the potential to bloom much better than this, create much better blooms and a lot of blooms and taller flower spikes, and you get the idea. But I do have an ID video for this one, so you can check it out in the annotations above. Now with the Tahitian Dancer, there is a bit of variety. Some people have the fragrant version. I, for one, do not. This is not fragrant for me, but I did see it described as fragrant. Rachel here on YouTube has a fragrant one, so it's a sort of a hit or miss if you want this one to be fragrant. I don't know how the fragrance is because I don't have the fragrant variety, but I think there is a possibility for you to find a Tahitian Dancer which has a sort of a fragrance. I'm not sure about the intensity, but it's always nice to have surprises. So here we go. This is the Tahitian Dancer. I really like this orchid, and hopefully next year she will do better than this. It's an easy grower really, so if mine is kind of sickly and still bloomed, kind of, you know, she's pretty hardy, and most probably it will bloom even if it's kind of sick. Although when you have it very healthy, it will produce beautiful blooms, a lot more blooms than I have on mine. So yeah, hopefully next year this one will look much better than now. Also, the last month we have the Maxillaria picta. This is a beautiful flower which has a unique feature. It is yellow on the front, as you can see, but on the back it has a beautiful spotted pattern. The only downside of this orchid is the fragrance, but that's just a personal thing. I'm sure there will be a lot of you guys who will actually enjoy the smell of this flower. Me, not so much. But the pretty pattern and everything kind of compensates, and if I don't have to live with this orchid next to me in my room, then everything is fine. So she really is a beautiful orchid. My only problem with it is that I think it has a virus. And well, in December, hopefully I'll buy some tests, and I'll definitely test her because it's really sitting on my mind. And lastly, these are 2 new orchids that didn't bloom in my care. I just purchased them, but I'm going to feature them because they're quite special. So first, there's the Phalaenopsis cingulata, which, in case you missed the video on it, you can visit an info card right now on the screen. It appears to have only 1 bloom, but the flower spike is cut, so it's kind of a marketing stunt, really. If you didn't watch that video, I suggest you do, because this one will pretty much hit the market at some point soon, I think. I think it will become popular. So if you were under the impression that this is a mini Phalaenopsis with one single huge flower, it's not. So you might want to know exactly what it is before you purchase it. I got it because, you know, I wanted to make a video and the flower is quite huge. So if next year I get multiple blooms, I'll be a happy puppy. And here we go, the Zygopetalum. I don't have an ID for this one. There are just so many hybrids, it's hard for me to find a proper ID, and most probably I'll get it wrong, so I'd rather not. But it is really pretty. It smells beautifully like narcissus. It's still in bloom, and the orchid itself still looks pretty good. I didn't find any more mealybugs on it. This one had a mealybug issue. I purchased it because I wanted to do a mealybug video on it. If you missed it again, I'll add it in an info card. So if you ever had trouble with mealybugs, or if you do have trouble now, you might want to check that video out. But other than that, she is doing quite well. I did see some snails. I got them. I will try not to repot it just yet, because in the springtime everybody will get out of their pots, so I don't want to further stress it, but I'll try to keep them under control with some lettuce and stuff like that. But she has snails. I saw them. There are a bunch of snails, like all orchids that I get. They all have snails. But anyway, so yeah, these were the orchids that were in bloom this month, or that I purchased and are still in bloom this month. I hope you enjoyed this. Maybe it gave you some ideas about what orchids you would like to buy next. If you liked something in particular, you can just search for it at your preferred orchid nursery or orchid store. So alrighty guys, thank you so much for joining. Happy Independence Day to all of my Romanian friends once again, and I really hope you have a great day. If you'd like to see more videos from me, simply subscribe to my channel. I post on a daily basis. Also, feel free to leave me comments, suggestions, or questions you might have in the comment section below, and I'll get back to you. If you click on the left side of your screen, you'll be directed to orchidnature.com, where you'll find care sheets, identification sheets, and also you can talk to us in the forum section. And on the right side of your screen, you can click to watch another orchid video. Thank you for joining. I'll see you next time. Bye!